my channel. My name is Leah. Today in the UK it's Mother's Day, so I thought in honour of Mother's Day I would share with you my experience on becoming a mum at the age of 38. I have always wanted to be a mum, but I wanted that in a stable relationship with a husband, and that never happened. So I was single for many years. I did date over the years, on and off, but nothing serious. And at the age, I guess even like mid-20s, I wondered if it was going to happen. I belong to a church that is very family orientated, so being single in a church like that can be a bit difficult, although I have many good friends and many good experiences of being and growing up in that church, even as a single person. But even in my mid-20s, I guess I was wondering, is this going to happen? Am I going to meet someone? But I wasn't too worried. As I got into my early to mid 30s and I still hadn't really met anyone, I'd met people that I liked, but nothing really clicked. So into my mid 30s, and I was starting to prepare for life, I guess, as a single person, how that looked and how I could get the things that I wanted in life. And I started to consider the idea of fostering children. In order to do that, I obviously needed a stable family home, and around the age of, I think it was 35, I had a bit of a turning point in my life. I'd not been made redundant, but my contract had come to an end. It was a temporary job and that had come to an end, and I was struggling to find work, and I was thinking, what do I do? You know, I can keep looking for work, I can like downgrade the type of job I'm looking for, but is this really what I want? And I started to look at my different options, and the thought came to me that maybe I should go and live abroad again. I did it one time before, maybe I could do it again. And I looked at the different options, and I could only find that I could do like a working holiday visa in one place, and that was New Zealand. And I thought to myself, right, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this now. And New Zealand was my last option, and so I was really considering the idea of doing that, to get a working holiday visa and heading off to New Zealand for a year or so. And at that point I thought to myself, right, if I do want to foster children at some point, I really need to get a steady job, a home, something that can be stable to bring a child into. So I decided at that point not to go and go off to New Zealand, and just to try and find work here. And I came across the job that I have now, and I was so blessed to get that job. It was far better than I ever imagined, and I have loved doing it. I have been so blessed to have that job, and that gave me the stability that I needed in my life at the time. At the age of 35, I was like umming and ahhing where to go with my life, and then turned to 36 after a couple of weeks after getting this new job, and to find my own little flat, and so life was all good. But I was still single, and that's what I was working towards, getting some stability in my life so that I could possibly in the future decide to foster. At that point I already knew Keith. We were friends, but that was all we were. Keith and I ended up getting together, and just before I turned 37 we got married. Quite quick, yes, but we had been friends for about 18 months prior to us getting together, so we knew each other quite well. So at 37, or just under 37, I got married. Now you'd think that I'd want to go and have children straight away, but I always knew, even as a younger person, that I'd want some time together with my husband before having a child, so, you know, settle into life together before bringing another person into our life, because that is huge. It's huge having a baby, and I already knew that was huge before having a child. I guess I didn't know quite how huge it was, and how demanding on your time and patience and the rest of it, but I did know that we probably needed some time to ourselves just to adjust to a new life. And at that point Keith still wasn't living up here. He was still working in the south of England and commuting at the weekends, so we hadn't really settled into married life, and that took 6 months to change. So it was about 6 months after we got married that Keith found a new job up in the north of England and moved up. So we were just trying to settle into our married life, trying to adjust, and obviously that wasn't really happening because he wasn't with me throughout the week. And then at the end of February 2015, he moved up. We went on holiday, and after his holiday he came straight back up with me after the holiday, and we were then living together full time, which was fantastic. It was amazing to have him there. I guess I'd set in my mind that we could start having or trying to have children a couple of months later. I would have loved a year, but when you're already 37, although I'm not over the hill, I've still got had plenty of years in me to have children, but you kind of hear that little ticking clock in the back of your mind saying you need to get on with this. And okay, I would have loved to have had time with Keith, travelling and enjoying life, 2 full-time wages. Even though money was tight, it wasn't tight compared to what it is now. We could have enjoyed ourselves a bit, and I would have loved to have taken Keith with me to some of the places I've visited over the years. He hasn't done as much travelling as I have, and I would have loved to experience that with him. But you would have thought at the age of 37 that I would have been really eager to start having a family. And I wasn't. I really wanted to just have me and Keith. I'd spent years being single, just me. I'd never celebrated Valentine's Day really, or had someone special celebrate my birthday with me, or Christmas, or any of that. And now I had this husband who loved me, and I wanted to experience all those things, and I wanted to experience them with him, just him. And I wasn't eager to have a family straight away. Now, I don't want to go into it all, but I had a few people around me at the time who were really struggling with getting pregnant, one of them being my sister. And my sister did say to me a few times, you just need to kind of get on with it, or go to the doctors and make sure everything's all right. Because she'd had this experience where she'd waited a long time to have a family, and she was worried that I might have to go through the same thing. And obviously being older, I'm 6 years older than she is, she didn't want me to have to experience that. And I get that, I full-heartedly get that, but I just wasn't eager to start that family. So Keith moved up at the end of February, kind of beginning of March, and by the end of March I found out I was pregnant. And I was a little bit upset that decision to have a family was kind of taken out of my hands, but I know how blessed I am that I didn't have any problems with getting pregnant. Absolutely know how blessed I am. And looking back now, I am grateful that I didn't have to struggle with getting pregnant. But I really wanted that little bit more time with him. But saying that, it couldn't have been any more better planned. If I'd found out I was pregnant before Keith had moved up, I would have been dealing with the pregnancy on my own, and I would have struggled with that. I know I would have done. It was hard enough with him here, but I think I just wanted a bit extra time with him, living here, us living a kind of normal life. And obviously that didn't happen, because as soon as you're pregnant, it's not just about you and your partner anymore, it's about you, your partner, and this baby that you're growing. And it takes it out of you, it really does. Now, I don't know if my age had anything to do with the fact that I was extremely tired, particularly my first trimester. Oh my word, it completely knocked me out. The nice thing I found when I was at the midwives, they asked my age, and they did kind of make a comment of it, but they didn't talk about me being old. I think one person made a comment about possibly more children after having this one child, and I thought, well, they obviously feel like I've got enough time to have this one and more. That was really nice. It was a lot of peace of mind, knowing that the doctors and the midwives weren't concerned with my age at all. They didn't monitor me closely, and I thought they might have done. I had a friend who was pregnant when she was 35. This was in a different country, and she said that they were monitoring her because she was 35. So obviously at 37, I thought they were going to really monitor me, to kind of refer to me as being young still. So I thought, well, that's really nice, because I don't feel old. I don't feel like I'm at the age where I can't cope with having children. But I guess that clock telling you that actually the time you have to have children is kind of running out, it does kind of put a little bit of fear in you. So it took me a little while to get my head around the fact that I was pregnant, I was having this baby, and I think it's because this decision to have a child had been taken away from me, and all of a sudden all these things were happening to my body, and you can kind of feel it pretty instantly. By 6 weeks pregnant, you're starting to feel the nausea and the rest of it, and so all these things were happening to my body that weren't nice, and I was trying to get my head around the fact that we were having a baby. But of course I was happy, and it took me a little bit of time to get my head around it, but I think it was just because I was struggling with the fact that I was nauseous all the time, I was tired all the time, uncomfortable, couldn't get comfortable in bed, and I ended up quite big with my bump, so I was quite uncomfortable, and that was just difficult to handle sometimes, particularly having that decision taken away from me. But I'm not saying any of that being ungrateful, because I know how blessed I am. I am absolutely blessed to have been able to get pregnant so easily. So I then turned 38 ahead of my boy being born, so I was now 38 and ready to have a baby, and it has been crazy. I haven't always handled things very well, I know I haven't, and some of that I think is to do with the fact that I've been so used to just getting on with things myself. I didn't even have a husband to consider, it was just me, and I can be quite a productive person, organised person, and I just get on with things. And now I've got this child who stops you from doing most of your stuff. You know, a productive day might be getting dressed, making dinner, and making sure your baby's fed, changed, watered. That might be a productive day, but I'm not used to that, or I wasn't used to that. He is an absolute delight, and I cannot imagine my life without him now. Keith and I have talked about the fact that it just can't be that long since he was born, and yet he seems to have been with us forever. You know, he's now 15 months old, and it just seems like yesterday that I had him, but at the same time I don't remember life without him. I don't remember life not being a mum. Before having Toby and before being with Keith, I used to get annoyed at mums for just talking about their kids, and it does seem to be a bit of a mum thing, that they would just talk about the kids, and I think, well, there's more to life than just your children, and there's more to you than just your children. But I'm finding now that I'm becoming that mum, and it's so bad, and I wish I wasn't becoming that mum that's just talking about my child. I feel like I'm possibly using Tommy as my anchor point when I go to social events. I used to do it with Keith, I still do it with Keith, just to make sure that I've got someone with me by my side. And you know, I get nervous about being with people, seeing new people, even people that I know sometimes, and wondering what to talk about. And Tommy has become a subject to talk about, and all the things that go along with having a child. And I think that's partly why I do it, but also as a mum, or as a stay-at-home mum, or partly stay-at-home mum, you are consumed by all these things that you need to do. Just yesterday, Keith and I folded 3 loads of laundry, then did more today. That's just our life now. You know, before having Tommy, before being with Keith, I did maybe 1 laundry load a week, maybe 2 every 2 weeks. Nothing in comparison, you know, 2 every 2 weeks compared to 3 yesterday, and then we had to do more today. And that's possibly why, and I understand it now a lot more, why mums do it, why they talk about the kids all the time. It's because it's so consuming. It takes up your whole life, really. You know, even when you're not with them, you're doing things for them. But I want to be my own person, and I need to find myself again. And there are things that are just me, but a lot of it I kind of involve Tommy in as well. So I need to not be that mum. Because it used to frustrate me, and I don't want to frustrate my pre-mama self. I do love being his mum, and I love being a mum. There's absolutely nothing like it. He's been poorly recently, and he's been so clingy, which is hard work. You know, you're trying to make dinner and you've got a child on your hip. It's just not possible half the time, and he's so heavy. There is actually nothing like it, to know that all he wants is you. And you know, when he snuggles in for a little cuddle because he's feeling a bit sorry for himself or tired, and it absolutely melts my heart. It's not like any sort of love that I've felt before. And I've got nieces and 1 nephew, and obviously now I've got Keith's side as well, so I do have more nieces and nephews, and I do love those children, but it's not the same. I'm so grateful that I was able to have the experience of being an auntie without being a mum, because I absolutely love those children. Sometimes like my own, obviously not quite like my own, but I absolutely adored those children, and I was able to fully be an auntie to them. And you know, particularly my two oldest nieces, we'd have play dates together and sleepovers and all sorts of things, baking, all that kind of stuff, and they still come and visit every now and then. The last 2 years they've come to visit in the summer holidays, and I love it, but it is different. So I'm grateful that I had that experience of being an auntie before becoming a mum, even though it was heartbreaking at times to wait to become a mum, and it was heartbreaking at times. I am grateful that I had that experience, and I'm grateful for the experience that I had as a single person, even though that was so hard. I do miss parts of being single. I miss the travelling and seeing my friends, but I wouldn't trade it. I'm happy where I am, even though I don't always show it. Yeah, now I'm getting emotional. I wouldn't trade my single life for what I have now, even though it was difficult being single, so difficult at times. The amount of times I had my heart broken or just devastated that something didn't happen, and being single, being lonely, that was so hard. But I did really enjoy areas of my single life, you know, the travel, seeing friends, making new friends, and I don't do that now. I'd love to go visit friends, and the budget just won't allow at the moment, but I think it's probably something we need to plan into the budget at some time in the future, particularly some friends we need to go visit. But I wouldn't trade it. It is so hard now sometimes. I'm a complete emotional wreck at the moment. We are dealing with a few different things that I'm really struggling with, and life as a single person was a lot easier, and I knew it would be. I always said, oh, it's easier to be single, I know what I'm doing with that. And my sister-in-law would say to me, but it's not best. And obviously she would support me. If I was single, she'd support me in that, because I wasn't choosing it necessarily. But she'd always say to me, but it's not the best, even though it's probably easier. It is hard being in a relationship and dealing with that, but it's not the best. And I got that, and I always look to them and their little family and think I really want that for myself and long for that. So I do miss parts of my single life, but I wouldn't trade it for what I have now, even though what I have now is so hard sometimes. And you know, even having a husband is hard work. We are both similar in some ways and very different in other ways, and learning to deal with that, and knowing that you can't make all the decisions, although he lets me most of the time. I don't always like it. I want him to make some decisions, but then I guess if he makes a decision I might not like it, but I wouldn't trade it. I'm quite happy where I am, and I love having a little boy, even though I wanted a girl. I did want a little girl. I love having a little boy. He is so funny. He's got so much character, and it just keeps coming out more and more every day. And I wish I could show you, even though I do put a few videos up of him, I wish I could show you the little character that's coming out in him. He is so funny and so mischievous and so much like a little boy. He couldn't get more like a little boy. He climbs everything. If it could be climbed, he will learn how to climb it. So I'm going to have my work cut out for me as he gets older. He's going to be climbing those trees and all sorts, and I'm not going to know what to do with myself. But I love being a mum. I love how it makes me be a selfless person, how it makes me put someone else first. Even though I don't always put Keith first, I struggle with that, even though I try to put him first. Your child, you just do. It comes naturally. It's hard not to put them first. Sometimes we put them first at our own expense, and we shouldn't do that all the time, but we do. But I love that I've got someone that I can put first, and I can become a selfless person because of that. And even though he wasn't planned when he was planned, although we did always plan to have a child, I'm kind of glad that it happened, because we were putting it off. We kept putting it off. But I feel like it was God's way of saying, you two need to get on with this, because you need to get on with it. Your time is running out. And so even though I still have time to have children, but if we kept waiting and kept putting it off, which we were doing, you know, just another month, we could have been putting it off for a year, 2 years, who knows, and then we could have struggled to get pregnant, and then we would have really kicked ourselves. So I feel like it was God's way of saying, you need to get on with this, and I'm grateful for that, even though it was hard at the time. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I don't know how it will help anyone. I just wanted to share my experience of becoming a mum at the age of 38, when I should have really wanted to have that child instantly as soon as I was able to, and I didn't. But I am so grateful for it now. But I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're a mum, enjoy your Mother's Day, and I hope you get spoilt rotten, not necessarily in gifts, but in lots of hugs and kisses and time with your special little people. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!